Welcome back. We've got another nice talking technical ahead of us, and really thank you guys. We've got plenty requests, and I want to kick off with Leon. He said to me, Frans, on the email, please can you discuss Telkom for me? I believe that this is a company for the future, and I bought it many years ago, and I was so happy when it went up all the way to about 100 Rand, but I'm now so disappointed because the share is also falling off a cliff. Now, what I want to say to Leon is remember always that you are only married to your wife and not to a share, because a share can easily disappoint you. And if you look at the share's history and you just have a look at it, let's say from 2016, it struggled around these 60 Rand levels, and then it went beautifully up to this 100 Rand, and then it almost fell off a cliff. And what I always will say, it is a waterfall formation. So unfortunately, the share disappointed, and the share is losing momentum, and it looks like they are making a bid to buy Cell C. So I don't know if that's going to solve their problems or change their business model. But the problem is the share is falling off a cliff, and I cannot see any higher low here. Now, a higher low is usually what you see here. It goes up, it comes back a little bit, it goes up. Every time that it goes up, it makes a new higher low, or even what we sometimes say a higher high. And that is positive. That tells you that the momentum is shifting to the upside, and that the people are buying on any dip. At the moment, it's people selling on any rally. Now, if you look at it, there was the top. There was someone selling on the rally. There you are. Same thing all the way right across the board. So let's have a look at the daily chart and see if we can maybe get an early signal that something is maybe to change here, and that you can maybe feel a little bit happy or feel at ease. But let's have a look at Telkom. Now, this beautiful bullish engulfing candle that you're seeing here, or a bullish candle that you saw here, is a strong candle, but that happened when Telkom announced that they may be looking at buying, you can say, Cell C. But what happened yesterday, it immediately retraced. So what happened was everybody that was probably short suddenly caught off guard. They had to close. You see the share bouncing up, and immediately you see what we call now a harami candle. Now, usually a harami candle within a bullish candle just tell you that nobody is sure. So if I look at the daily chart and I draw this line in here, I want to look. The first sign where you can say that the share can maybe tick up a little bit higher again will be the high of that candle there. And let's have a look there. That high is at 66 Rand and 57 cents. When the share breaks above 66.57, you can maybe expect that the share can put in another relief rally. But unfortunately, if I look at the weekly chart tells you that the momentum is clearly to the downside, and unfortunately, the share disappointed you. Well, let's have a look at clicks. Asif said to me, Frans, and I think it was on Twitter, he said, can I maybe have a look at clicks? For him, I don't know if he's a long-term buyer. Unfortunately, he didn't tell us. But I'm going to the weekly chart here and just telling him, listen, this chart looks beautiful. Look at it. I mean, there's clicks, and this share was announced the other day, or the JSE, I think, announced that this company is one of the best managed companies in South Africa. And well, we can see what the share is telling us. The graph tells us in this depressed economy that we've got, where retailers don't want to spend money, clicks do something right. Because this share was in 2012, let's call it around 20 Rand. Now it's 256 Rand 48. And everybody believes that the share can just go higher. So as if I look at this share, this is a strong performer. What's nice about it, it had this triangle formation here. I just want to show the viewers here because that's quite interesting to take note of. There you are. There was the resistance for quite a while now. And then you had this rising support line that gave us this beautiful triangle, and we call that an ascending triangle because you've got a flat top and you've got higher lows here at the bottom. And what happened when it broke? It went up straight, and that is a continuation pattern, but it also did something else now. It reached its target. I just used that for my guideline there, and I extend that to the top, it's almost there. So as if you are happy with your chart, and I am happy with this chart, the momentum is clearly to the upside. You can see there's maybe a blip here and there, but it's just continuation from here. So the chart looks beautiful, momentum up. But I must say, I think you may be a little bit late if you want to add onto the position. Or if you are a new investor and you want to buy into the share now, I think maybe it's time just to sit on your hands, because the momentum is so strong. Look at this lamp pole formation. It rallied almost from 187.27 to 256 almost in a matter of a few weeks. That's a strong rally. That's a good performance. So I'm a little bit worried to say to you that I think you can add on to the position. Let's maybe have a look at the 40-week moving average. I just want to see if I can get that in, because that will give us an idea if the share rallied away from that 40-week moving average. I want to put in, and I like the 40-week moving average because that gives you a good guideline of what to expect. There you are. Yeah, as if you can see here, it rallies all the way away from this 40-week moving average. I don't like it, because in the past the share showed us every time that the share rallies away from this 40-week moving average, it's got the tendency to pull back. Every time it's rallying away from it, it pulls back. And you guys know now that for many years on the show, I'm always mentioning something. Remember, a share or a specific chart or even a commodity sector, they act as actors in a big play, and they tend to do the same things all over. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. We're seeing it's rallying away from the 40-week moving average. It's not going to be long, then it's going to pull back and meet this 40-week moving average sometime in the future. We never know when it's going to happen, but it can happen within a week, two, we never know. But at the moment, beautiful chart, but a strong rally. Let's have a look at SAPI. SAPI, and Graham said to me, Frans, there's a nice channel that we can maybe trade, but I just want to have a look at SAPI here first of all. And oh yes, Graham, I think what he's wanting to show us here, what's quite nice, there you are. In this downtrend, you can actually trade this channel. There you are. I just wanted to draw it in there. I hope I'm drawing it the same as Graham anticipated. Because he just dropped me a note. He did not say which channel, but if you look at this downward descending channel, you can see that every time that the share is almost close to this support line, it bounces up and it reaches for this line. But first of all, can we all believe that SAPI, this company that was a darling of the market not long ago, I mean in September 2018, it reached 105 Rand. Now it is 36 Rand a share. Can you believe that? But if we look at this channel, Graham, I think we can easily trade back to this line of around 43 Rand. But I would like to use this as my guideline. I just want to use this horizontal support line. Oh yes, and it meets up with a few nice points. I always like that, especially if I can get 2 or 3 or even 2 points also help me, but 2 or 3 points is nice. Look at it. It touched that line once. There you are twice. There you are 3 times. This is a nice support line above that level, but the moment it dropped there, it turned into resistance. And now it holds us a clue. The share needs to go above this, and it needs to break above 14 Rand 15 cents to give us a tick to the upside, and maybe reach all the way to this 44 Rand 32 cents. Now 44 Rand 32. Now it doesn't sound a lot. Graham is quite correct. You can trade within this trend, and although it's a downtrend, you can maybe make 10% from 40 Rand to 44 Rand. The only difference is you trade a little bit against the trend. And but what we can say is the day that it breaks this 44 Rand 30 level, it can really surprise, because then it changes this downtrend into an uptrend. And I mean, SAPI, although it's struggling now, the share is sitting on a price to earnings ratio of 5 and a dividend yield of 5. So it's not too expensive. And I always use a price to earnings ratio in a different manner. The fundamental guys always look at it in pure fundamental financial, you can almost say statistics or data. I always say if the price to earnings ratio is very low, it means that we do not expect that much of the company, because everybody just say, the share is going down, the price to earnings ratio is not that attractive, leave it. I always say when a price to earnings ratio is quite low, like even with SAPI, I can remember many years ago, Anglo American, when it was really falling off a cliff and everybody hated the stock, the price to earnings ratio was very low, and the dividend yield before they cut it was also not that bad, and it wasn't long after that cut of the dividend that the share turned around. So this descending channel, yes, be nervous, but you can always look at it above that for a bounce. And let's just do the same thing before we rush off to something else. Let's quickly put in the 40-week moving average here, and just to see how far are we down this alley of just selling, because it can maybe give us a beautiful clue. There you are. No, the trend is clearly to the downside. So if it breaks this 44 level, the next target, strong resistance, is 53 Rand 69. But this is another lesson also for Leon as well, when he looked at Telkom and he loved it and he just kept on buying the stock and believed that nothing can go wrong. This is one of the shares that tells you it can disappoint, so never be too greedy. If you're happy with your profit, lock it in and go. Well, we'll talk after the break again, and we'll see you next.